Hi, everyone, and welcome to the channel. This is a podcast where I enjoy sharing my insights, and today I'm talking about the false emergency. This is a low-level sense of urgency that many of us live with all the time. And I want to know where the fire is, where the danger is, and why we have this sense of urgency. Because it doesn't seem evident in nature. Stick around. To me, it seems like everybody's searching for a savior. It's like that Whitney Houston song, everybody's searching for a hero. And what are we being saved from? I love what Mel Robbins says. She says, no one's coming to save you. Recently, I was talking to my mom, and she was lamenting and worrying and stewing about the rising taxes in her little district. They've raised the taxes on their district. And she said, we're on a fixed income. She needed a savior. She was in a jam. The tax people were coming after her. And she found a savior. She found something called the exemption. And so a savior was born. Her friend said, senior citizens can apply for a grandfather clause or some kind of exemption for extenuating circumstances. Do that. She got all excited. She started singing Christmas carols. A savior was born. The exemption. But then she looked into the savior, and the savior grew up. There was a mountain of paperwork she had to do. Application, financial disclosure, an essay. So what she decided to do was supplicate. She begged her savior. She called the tax office and said, I'm just too old to do all this, she said. Sorry, Miss Hebert, we can't help you. You have to fill out the paperwork. But it's too much. So her savior let her down. Just recently, or yesterday, I called her and she said, oh, the stock market's doing really well. Our portfolios, we're doing great. She found another savior, the stock market. A savior born on Wall Street, wrapped in swaddling clothes. And when the stock market crashes, she'll be looking for another hero. So as long as the stock market is good, there's no emergency. So this sense of urgency that, and I'm using that little parable to show you what we do to ourselves. We expect a savior. Jesus was supposed to have been the savior. And I'm wondering, what are we being saved from? Well, somebody would say original sin. Well, who did that? Where did that come from? Oh, that's just, Where did original sin come from? For those of you who practice Christianity, I want to know. Who implanted such a device into a human being? This argument is circular because it goes nowhere. It's but this kind of thing is an unworkable religion. You may think that wooden crosses and brass necklaces and incantations are graven images, but the worst graven images are the ones that we create and turn into enemies. And then we create our saviors, exemptions. cheap prices, spouses. Oh, what would I do without my spouse? Oh my God, what would I do? Oh my God. And then the spouse dies and you've got a real emergency. Well, you set yourself up for that. You set yourself up for being a damsel in distress. That sounds like paranoia. If anybody's going to be saved from anything, you're going to save yourself from fear, from paranoia, from chasing your own head with your tail. Urgency, in a human sense, is like when a dog has a chair tied to their leg and they're running away from it. That's what urgency is. And chasing things is like having a carrot dangling from your forehead chasing it. That's what urgency is. That's what looking for a hero is. But many of us are too busy running and chasing to understand that we are running from ourselves and chasing ourselves. So the way I see it is this. There's part of me hiding. I know that. And there's part of me seeking. I know that. Seeking is what's out there? What am I to do next? That's wonderment, but it doesn't... That doesn't have a quality of emergency. Curiosity has a very different emergent quality than danger. Something's being taken away. I am arguing that we are the universe, okay? Many people have said this. You're the universe. But the universe doesn't seem to have a steering wheel. And I don't have a steering wheel. I don't have a control system. I trust myself in the same way that I trust nature. And I don't check on nature. Nature's doing fine. And to me, nature feels lighthearted. Occasionally there's a volcano, an earthquake, or a hurricane. Maybe that looks violent. I don't know. But by and large, nature seems quiet, kind of kid-like, whimsical, free, but yet very dependable and very orderly. I remember watching a baby cardinal be born just out here outside my back door here, and the mother was attentive, the father and the mother helped. The bird was so awkward, but it stumbled as it went along, you know. But nobody wants to admit that they don't know what they're doing, and we're just big kids. We're naked kids playing around in a playground with nothing to lose and nothing to gain. You were born naked and dumb, and you're going to die naked and dumb. We're still dumb. There's still this unknown part of us, this mysterious part of us. But you see, if you were God in the sense that you knew it all, you had it all figured out, you were omniscient, and you were all-powerful and all-controlling, the first thing you'd want is an adventure. You'd want to get yourself into some kind of mischief. You'd want to expose yourself to something called danger. But one of the things that's so liberating about being still and learning about this is that there is nothing to be afraid of. There is no danger. Unless you think dying is dangerous. Dying is inevitable. How can it be dangerous? Being born was inevitable. So you mean you were born into a dangerous world? I just can't make sense out of it. When it just happens. I'm going to die. You're going to die. And what we're working with here is a false sense of control that nobody seems to be able to pin down. As a creature, if I am just this creature with arms and legs and a voice, there are parts of me that seem like I can control them, but what about the heart? What about the lungs? What about my mind? Good God. What about those times I stumble? What about those times where I get hit by a flying object or get into an accident? What happens to control? See, control seems to be bouncing around all over the universe. It's a cat and mouse kind of a thing. So it's got to be more game-like. It's got to be more, all right, I can still care, I can still get involved, but the more serious and urgent and meddlesome I get, the worse everything seems to be. That's because nature doesn't need you to check and to check and to check. Is the pot boiling? Is the bank account full enough? Am I doing the right thing? And so you get into a should fest. Oh, I should be doing this, or I shouldn't have done this. And it's just like, until you ultimately realize and accept that existence is purely innocent. And it's not your fault that you were born. Being born is not faulty. That's why. So what is this, fucking original sin? Unless you were not meant to be here. I'm going to continue to be critical of this Western mythology that human beings are screwed up. And that I'm screwed up, and you're screwed up, and the world is screwed up. If it were all just hunky-dory and you were God and you had it all figured out and you knew all futures and all pasts and all everything, the first thing you'd want to do is to fuck it up. Mess it up. Get lost in it. Have some adventure. Be mischievous. Playing it safe is Groundhog's Day. You're in that movie like Bill Murray. Every day you do the same thing over again until he started to realize to throw it away. Try to kill yourself, if you know what I mean. Try to put yourself in a jam you can't get out of. Do something that seems daring, new, frivolous, total abandonment, total childlike. Like, just shoot your wad in one day and watch what happens. More is given for you to shoot another wad, if you will. Give your best. That is until you realize there's no pinnacle experience, and that existence itself is the pinnacle experience. Innocent, free, and that you can live with abandon, and there is no sense of urgency. What's funny is when you pick up on this, you see how uptight people are. And it looks like I'm uptight. I'm just babbling like a bird. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know where these words come from. I don't know why I feel compelled to turn on the computer. And there's no rhyme or reason why I would record this video and upload it to YouTube. It seems completely and totally pointless. Other than I find it enjoyable. I'm not talking about anything. I'm a big sham. There's no Ryan Hebert in this world. I have no idea who that is. None. That is a label affixed to this creature and the environment. And the environment and the creature are one. I don't know where I am in my body. Some people think they are back here behind the eyes. Some people are in their solar plexus. Some people are so vacant, they're dead. I happen to be outside of the body and inside of the body. I happen to be omnipresent. Because when I sit still, I don't know where I am in my body. You see? So there's no emergency. I'm everywhere. So the sensation of being in a body is kind of playful to me. It feels like pretend. It feels like a pretend suit with a pretend control and a pretend entity in here. I'll play along. I'm going to play with my environment. I'm going to play with my circumstances in the same way that an actor might play on the stage. They know in the back of their mind it's not real. I know in the back of my mind I'm not real as a separate causality to the totality of the universe. How could what you're doing be independent of what the universe is doing in a place called here and now? As if the environment can be sort of pushed around like it doesn't have intelligence, and that you can save the world, or you need a savior, or you're being victimized by your circumstances. There's got to be a better way to live, and I think it's playfulness. Isn't it titillating to think that you might be in some kind of jam, or you might get caught, or somebody might see you? Why is there a part of you that doesn't want to be exposed like that? What is all this eggshell shit? Walking around, or this urgency, got to be. These are people pretending that life is real in that sense, that what you're doing is reality. There's a fundamental nature to reality that can't be touched, seen, heard, smelled, or whatever, but it can be identified. Reality can be identified, but it has to be within. Everything else is a role, an outwardness, a funny, well, I call it laughing stock. If there is something serious in life, you tell me what it is, and I'll show you a joke that somebody has made about all these so-called serious things, from the Holocaust to child rape to incest to murder, whatever. There are jokes about it, which means there's a humorous lightness to it that you have forgotten to see. And I'm just giving you some advice. Lighten up. Easy for you to say, you don't know me, blah, blah, blah. Well, keep being serious. See how well your life goes when you take it seriously. Even spiritual teaching is funny. This is hilarious. This is nonsense. What I am pointing to will never be pointed to. That's what makes, it's like, why is the bird singing? Well, the bird's singing to attract a mate, says the scientist. Well, why does the bird need a mate? To procreate. Why do we procreate? That's what the universe does. Why does the universe do that? And circular argument with an unworkable point. The point of living is to live. If the point of living were to urgently get somewhere, then the people with the shortest lives would be the winners. You see, you have to examine these things. And if I were to put on a long flowy robe and be all serious and make the sign of the cross and be urgent like this, you might think I'm talking about something serious. But to me, I look out in nature and it looks all like a kid painting. You can just crumple it up like a piece of paper and that's it. Thank you. Something to be enjoyed, used, savored. Like a toy. Everything you want is simply a toy. Do you know that? Even your own body is a toy. It's a vehicle to play with, to enjoy, to make it work at its peak level. To love it. Your job is to love it. Learn to love it. Learn to like it. Learn to play with it. Learn to use it. This idea of preservation and saving. Oh, save your body. So I'm going to sit here and rot. I think it's to use it. Use it to its fullest. To be involved in a playful way, in a lighthearted way, with a wink and a nod, no matter what you're doing, even if you're in hospice. And I don't say that lightly. My friend Jerry, in hospice, making jokes. Make this your priority. I'm going to play. I'm tired of being serious. This doesn't work. This is a fool's game to think there's some kind of win or loss. I was born dumb, naked, and as a child, and I will die dumb, naked, as a child. Be a child now. Abandon this idea that you're preserving, saving, strategizing. You are playing. And you will play and dance with death. I promise you, you're going to accept it. If you ever have the opportunity, and if you're suffering so much, you're going to be, thank you, death. Oh, it's about time you arrived. But you're caught in this, a lot of us who are in this urgency, we're caught between these two paradoxical ideas. I'm fighting for my life. I'm just fighting for my life. I want to live forever. And I'm in a hurry to get there. When does any of that make sense? Fighting for your life and being in a hurry to get somewhere. Those two things are in contrast. If you really fought for your life, if you really, really wanted to live, you would live to the fullest now. And if you live to the fullest now, you would enjoy everything, every moment, every resource, everything now. Even the so-called hard parts. See, you're reading a book quickly to see how it ends. And then you get to the so-called end, you're like, that's it? And you miss the descriptions of eating a meal, cuddling with your spouse, playing with the dog, wandering through nature, picking up a stone and looking at it, looking at the sky, dancing, laughing, having fun like a kid. Even in spiritual so-called spiritual teaching, it's not serious. Why do we have to put on our cassocks and our robes and our turbans and get all bleh? What I want is a comedian spiritualist, somebody who can teach this in humorous ways. Alan Watts was like that, of course. He was an entertainer. That's why I admire him, and maybe I am channeling him in some ways, but I agree with him. We can laugh at people who take themselves so seriously. Life and death are not serious. Life and death are. You are living and dying at the same time. Use it. All of it. There's no fire to put out. Where's the hurry? If you go into the forest, where's the hurry? Unless you're being chased by a lion, but you're at the top of the food chain, chances of that are slim to nil. We are scaring ourselves. We are urging ourselves to false deadlines and moving goals, skimming the book and missing the good parts. And I don't want you to miss your life anymore. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed these insights, and we'll see you next time. My blog is called My Morning Motivator. I hope you'll check it out.